Hello, everybody. We're back at it again. And in this segment, I'd like to talk about overcoming objections and reducing sales friction. One of the things I'd like to talk to you about, of course, is making the sales easier. Of course, you want to get sales. That's numero uno. That way, you can bring them in the door, and you ultimately get money. Um, the first thing to do is identify possible objections before you go to a sales pitch. I mean, what are some of the common objections? Oh, it's too much. I don't need it. Things like that. I mean, that's a real simple thing. It's kind of goes back to some of my other segments of just kind of creating a sales map. How are you going to get there? And to get there, you're going to have a couple of road bumps along the way. Um, what are some of the things that you hear most often? Cost too much. Well, price is a relative thing. We're cheaper than the other people. Our product is superior. Things like that. Always be ready for it because 9 times out of 10, of course, everything costs too much. Everything is nobody needs anything. They want to save money. They don't want to spend money. That's part of any business. So just kind of keep that in mind. Um, of course, this also goes into another one. What reasons do people give you for not buying? Well, people don't like to buy, but they like to shop around for things. They'll always do that. And your goal is to take them from just shopping to actually moving forward with the product. And also along the same vein is put yourself in their shoes. If you were a buyer, what would be your worries or concerns in buying your product or service? What information would help you feel confident in your purchase? Always a good idea is to take your spouse or significant other and just kind of sit them down and do a sales pitch on them. A lot of times that'll oftentimes we don't see what's involved in the process until we get someone else's opinion, and your spouse or significant other may help you with that. And the next segment of that is remove the friction from the sales experience. You want to make the sales experience as easy as humanly possible. How many times have you tried to buy a product or service and you have to sign up for this and you have to do it email address and you have to call you to confirm, and it's just like, this is too hard, this is too difficult. And especially for new businesses, you want it to be easy. That's the goal, so that way you can get the money in the door. And even from, like, so for example, for like onlines, avoid long forms. Make this the most simplistic information. What is your name and what is your credit card number? Make it simple. I want your money. I want it to be as simple as possible. Include free shipping, just free widgets or free whatever. Make things make it incentivized for them to go with the product. Also, follow up with them. That's a real simple one. Hey, it's hard to get rid of a friend. It's hard to get rid of somebody that you put a name with a face, that you talk to them over the phone. Don't text, don't send an email unless it's you're selling a lot of things. Of course, in that case you can, but always, the better they know you, the harder it is for them to not go with your product. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then also in person, if you can, just just try to look them in the eye, give them a firm handshake. Hi, my name is so and so, and just kind of get in your story. Look, they're people too, so we all have problems. We all have this and that. If the subject comes up, hey, I got kids and this and that. And, how are your kids doing? How is this doing? How's that doing? One of the things that I've learned in sales is people love to talk about themselves. So if you could just start asking questions, you're eventually going to hit the nail on the head. And I'm sure there's a strong point in their life. They're just like, man, I love to talk about this, and I love to talk about, either my car or about my kids or about the house or just whatever. Get to know them, if nothing else. I mean, life is a journey, and it's all who you know. Walk them through the customer experience. This kind of gets back to what I was talking about before. Make it as easy as possible. Don't leave any surprises, anything last minute or hiccups or road bumps or anything like that. Make it simple. Here's what you'll expect. Here's how we get through the process. It's real easy. It's real simple. And if you want them to be as comfortable as possible. Um, and also, there might be some confusion and buyer remorse. Get rid of that. Don't make them go to the credit card company. Oh, I want to cancel this transaction. Like I said, make it as easy as possible, make things as less confusing as possible. And, lastly, reassure them, hey, you definitely made the right choice in getting this product. That'll help you out a lot. And don't leave your customer hanging. Sometimes you don't always solve the problems all in one sitting. Give them your phone number, give them your email. Hey, just real quick, I have a follow-up question. Okay, cool. Get rid of all their doubt is a good piece of advice. Once again, my name is Paul Rooney. Myself and my wife, my partner, we do Metro bookkeeping, 15 years of experience. Check us out, www.metroacc. Catch you later.